In this video, I'm just going to talk about the legacy of my 95 Honda Accord. I actually already sold the car. I can't believe it sold so quick. I thought I would have trouble selling it. I thought it would be hard to get rid of it, but it sold within 24 hours. It was such a good car. I felt that it really deserves its own video, and I'm kind of sad to see it go. It's got quite the legacy. I owned it for 10 years. I bought it in December of 2016. I had just returned from Australia, actually New Zealand. So I lived in Australia for a year, and then I went to New Zealand for the last 6 months at the tail end of that, just because Australia and New Zealand are so close. I figured, I don't know if I'll have another opportunity to go to New Zealand again. So that was sort of the tail end of that trip. But in going to New Zealand, I kind of went for broke on that trip. And when I came back to the United States, I had no money. And this is the United States. You definitely need a vehicle here. So I needed a car, and that's how I ended up with this 95 Honda Accord. I actually had to borrow money to get it. I was basically broke when I got back. But yeah, I bought it for $1,700, insanely cheap. I didn't really have the intention of owning it for this long. My intention was learn how to work on cars. And when I bought it, I had never changed my own oil, and I didn't really know anything about working on cars. And I just used YouTube. My thought process was this 5th generation Honda Accord is a really popular vehicle. Parts are really cheap, and there's a lot of tutorials online to help show you how to fix it or repair something when something breaks. So that was a really big selling point to me, and it really worked out for me. I did a lot of the repairs myself. All right, I just spent the last day and a half trying to fix the oil in the spark plug tubes issue on my 95 Honda Accord, but I've got it all put back together, and I'm going to start it up. We're either going to hear the valves crashing and basically me blowing my engine, or it's going to start up and I will have fixed it. So let's see what happens. I feel like I'm much more knowledgeable about vehicles than I was 10 years ago, and getting hands-on and learning that way was something that's really hard to put a dollar value on. It was a good learning experience for me to just have that vehicle. And I think for the certain person, I feel like that's why you should get an older vehicle, but maybe that's a subject for another vehicle. Maybe I'll make a video like why I think you should buy an older Honda. But yeah, so I bought it after I came back from Australia, New Zealand, and I got a job here in Tennessee. This is where I'm from, where my parents live, and I came back to live with my parents and got a job, was driving locally with the car here. But then in 2017, in the summer, I got a job as a Ridgerunner in New England, in Connecticut, Massachusetts. So that was like the first long trip with the car. All summer driving around as a Ridgerunner, and it made it flawless all season. Granted, you're not driving a lot working as a Ridgerunner. You're mostly working out in the field. I remember in 2017, we had 10 days on, 4 days off. So I wasn't really driving much because I'm working out in the field. So I'm hiking and camping along the Appalachian Trail all summer mostly, but those 4 days off, I would drive it into Boston, or I remember I drove it up to the White Mountains once that year, and just driving around to the different trailheads. I did put some mileage on it, and it's fairly, I wouldn't say difficult driving, but it's just, driving in the mountains with it. So it's not like you're just driving on Phoenix, Arizona, where everything's flat. That was like year 2017. And then I came back to Tennessee. I worked at UPS. So it was like a seasonal gig at UPS, commuting to and from work. And then I came back to the Ridgerunner job in 2018. And this time I took it up to Maine, a little bit further. So, and then again came back home to Tennessee. And then let me see, that takes us, then I went over to Europe and Southeast Asia. So there was a period of about 4 or 5 months where it just sat at home here at my parents' house. Then I came back, and then this time I moved out to Arizona, and I drove the car all the way out to Arizona. I think I took like 3 days to get there. Probably could have made it in 2. But I do remember I released a video of that. Living out in Arizona with the vehicle, that's when I had the timing belt done. I had that done out there, and I had done a lot of the repairs myself out there. Some of the bigger repairs that I've ever done on a vehicle were done out in Arizona. I lived up in Flagstaff, Arizona. So they call it like the high country. It's not as hot as like down in Phoenix or in the valley. And I took it to the Grand Canyon several times. Now, I didn't like drive it in many gravel roads, although a few times I did up in northern Arizona, specifically around like Humphreys Peak, Sunset Crater in that area, and Mount Eldon, some of those like forest road trails back there. It's definitely not an off-road vehicle. One time I took it down to Phoenix, and it wasn't in the middle of the summer, but it was hot. My car didn't have air conditioning, and that was like really stupid of me. I remember I just like pulled over to a gas station and I got like a giant thing of water and I was just like dumping it on me while I was driving. It was so hot. And I like had my head out the window at one point. I mean, that was kind of dumb of me to do that. I think it's pretty dangerous to be driving around a car with no air conditioning in Phoenix. So yeah, I didn't really venture down into the valley outside of the winter months very much when I lived in Flagstaff. I did take it to Zion National Park in Utah as well. That was a really cool drive. I never made it out to California. I regret not doing that. I regret not taking it to the coast. But yeah, in 2021, I ended up driving back to Tennessee, and then I parked it again for about 4 or 5 months. But that's when I attempted the Pacific Crest Trail in 2021. So the car sat at home here in Tennessee, and then I came back here. Let me see, what did I do that winter? That year I came back and then I moved out to North Carolina. So that was shortly after my Pacific Crest Trail mishap. I had tried to hike the whole Pacific Crest Trail, but only made it about 600 miles. I don't know. I'm still proud of what I did there. You can watch the whole documentary that I made if you want. But yeah, in 2022, I moved out to Asheville, North Carolina. And that's when I put a lot more mileage on the car. And again, it was driving around in the mountains of Western North Carolina, mostly because I was commuting to work 5 days a week. I rented a place out there. It was like a 30 or 45 minute drive one way to work. And then on the weekends, I would try to get out and do a hike, and oftentimes would just kind of drive out on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and you know, that vehicle was there, man. It's just solid. Never left me stranded. I think one time out there, it just didn't start. I was having like an intermittent no start issue. And that's kind of when I really was serious about looking for another vehicle. But that's also when the Ukraine war started, and then the gas prices got really high and things were getting really expensive. And I just kind of got cold feet about buying another vehicle. So I just held on to it and didn't know I would hold on to it for another 3 or 4 years, but here we are. So then in 2023, I left Asheville, North Carolina, and I had intentions on doing a big road trip throughout the Western US because I was feeling kind of overconfident with it. I was like, man, this thing it won't die. I think I should just go for it. And I don't know, I kind of just wanted to quit that job too. And I wasn't really feeling like I was living a very healthy life out there. I felt like I was just living and working to pay rent, and I just wanted to get out and travel. And by the time I hit the road, I felt like I was making a mistake. I felt like that was a pretty risky thing to do with that old vehicle, and I felt like my luck was going to run out on it, and I was going to end up stranded on the side of the road and like really far away from home. And I didn't want that to happen. I mean, I would have been fine. I would have found a way to get through it, but I got cold feet on traveling, and that had never happened to me before. And I was also kind of dealing with some medical things that were going on at the time. I spent one night on the road and then came back, and that takes me to a couple of years ago, and I've just kind of been living here at home, and the vehicle has always been there. It's never left me stranded. And I guess I'll always wonder, like, maybe it would have made it out to the Pacific Northwest. I'll bring the map up. I made like a big video about that as well, but if you want to watch my failed road trip. But I'm glad I called it quits and came back home and really focused on my health, because I feel like I'm definitely getting healthier now. And now that I've gotten rid of this vehicle and I have a vehicle that is much more capable, I can maybe make that dream happen in the coming years. This sounds like really braggy because I bought it for $1,700, and then 10 years later, I ended up selling it for $1,500, which is insane. Like the return on that vehicle. And I had like a big spreadsheet of how much money that I put into all of the repairs and stuff. And when you add up all the expenses for the maintenance over the course of this 10 years of having this vehicle, I spent $8,100, including the cost of the vehicle. Insane, man. Insane. Just over $8,000 to have a vehicle for 10 years in the United States. That's all the maintenance cost. The only thing that cost doesn't include is gas. That's less than $1,000 a year to have a vehicle. That's unheard of, man. Now, there comes a lot of cost with that because there's a lot of white knuckling it, and there's a lot of stress that comes with that type of vehicle too. Not knowing if it would start, or just, it does feel like it's less reliable. And I think a lot of it is just, it's in my head, and maybe that's just something with me. It's something with me and my psyche. I don't know. Where am I going with that? But I was just so fortunate to have that vehicle, and I got really lucky with it. And, I did a lot of the work to make sure that it was maintained properly. And that's really what helped keep it that's really what helped to keep it alive. And I think if you get anything from this video, I hopefully can just inspire you to go out there and check all the fluids on your vehicle and really look over the maintenance. That's really what will help the longevity of your vehicle, and especially going into the summer where things are about to get hot, and some people just jump in the car and go on a road trip and they haven't even checked their oil or anything. Some people have really bad luck with vehicles, but then I think there's also some people that neglect their vehicles, and that's why their vehicles suck. I mean, no offense if that's you, but it was such a privilege, and I'm so thankful that that vehicle really worked out for me. And I'll definitely miss it. I'll miss old Rhonda the Honda. I don't know what I'm going to name my new car. I bought a 2009 Honda Fit. I think I'm going to call it Fred because it's red. Hopefully I can get the new car out on some trips soon, put some nice videos up. Still looking for more full-time work, get something a little more permanent. We're on the fence. That's what we do. We live life on the fence over here at Sensacious Hiatus. We drive 95 Honda Accords for 10 years, and now I got this Honda Fit. It's a bit newer. I'm probably going to drive it. It's probably my last vehicle. I'm probably going to drive it for the next 30 years. So yeah, I'll probably make a video in the new car at some point. I plan to make this video in my old car, but man, it just sold so quickly. I mean, maybe I undervalued it. I sold it for $1,500. I listed it for $2,000. It needed some things done to it, so I didn't want to haggle too much. And it sounded like he was going to try to fix it up. I think he was a mechanically inclined person, so I hope to see it out on the road, man. I'll try to get a video clip and share it on the channel if I see it. Keep my eyes peeled for it. Well, that's about all that I have to say for this video. I just wanted to make a good video to send off my old 95 Honda Accord to its new owner. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.